Okay, here's an example of how we can use what the more modern Casios. So this should apply to this is the FXCG50, but I know a lot of you have got CG10, CG20s. It should be exactly the same. By the way, if the screen, like the menu screen of your CG10 or 20 doesn't look like this, as in the nice colored icons, if it's all kind of black and it looks a bit different, you need to update the version. So you'll certainly need to do that for the IB anyway, because you'll need that version because it's got an exam mode on it. So I would normally just tell you to come and bring your calculator to me. Obviously, right now that's a bit difficult, but I'm quite happy to put instructions on. As long as you've got the wire, it's not a difficult thing to do, but you would have to install some software from the Casio website, which is well worth doing. Anyway, it shouldn't actually affect how you can do this with sequences. So I better get on with it really. So find the first four terms of the sequence with nth term un, general term equals minus 4n plus 5. So what this means, you've got a sequence, general term, and that's the rule for finding it. So the first term would be u1, n would be 1. So u1 is minus 4 times 1 plus 5. u2, the second term, minus 4 times 2 plus 5. u3, the third term, minus 4 times 3 plus 5, and so on. It's quite simple to do without a calculator. Anyway, you'd need to be able to do it without a calculator, but I'm going to show you how to use table mode, which is a really, really handy mode. It helps a little bit with this question. It helps more with other questions, but it has massive, really useful applications in other areas too. So I'm just going to show you the mode because it's really, really handy. So this is the main menu. If you don't know how to get there, say you were in like normal calculator bits like this, you'd need to go to the main menu. And then you've got all these choices. So for table mode, you want the one that says table. So you can either go across with your arrows. It seems to be letting, yeah, I can see I'm on graph, and then select table. Or I could have just pressed menu 7. You can see tables number 7. But anyway, I'm in table mode. Now it gives me a choice of y values. So I need to put the function in that corresponds to this minus 4n plus 5. Now I'm not going to use an n. I'm going to use an x, so I'm going to put minus 4x plus 5. Now the x button is this one, so I'm going to put minus as in negative, minus 4x plus 5, right? So that's the function. Execute is like enter. And then I need to look at my table settings. So if I press setup, this is the default setting. It's 1, 5, 1. So start means what should your first x value be? So 1 is fine because we want from 1 to 4. End, what should your end one? I'm going to change that to a 4 because we've been asked for the first 4 terms. Step is what you want your x's to go up in. Now it will normally be 1s. There might be, I can think of certain instances maybe around gradient or something where you might go up in something else, but for sequences you're always going to go up in 1s. So that's your settings, and then you just press here for your table. So I'm clicking here. What you actually press is this F6. So these buttons here correspond to these. And there's the table. So you can see this for x, read n. So if n is 1, 2, 3, 4, you can read this as un, as in the current term. So the first term is 1, second term is minus 3, third term minus 7, fourth term minus 11. That is the sequence. It looks just like that. Okay, second example. Find the first 4 terms of the sequence with nth term un equals n plus 2, n minus 1. So another sequence given us the rule. We need to do the same again. We still want 4 terms. So the table, I'm going to go back to where this is. If you can't remember how you got there, it was menu and table. So you can go straight to table, press 7 for table. And then if there's something here that you don't want, as in an old function, you can delete that by pressing del down here. Delete formula, yes. So we've got rid of that. So I just want to now type in it exactly as is, apart from the ends will be x's. So x plus 2, x minus 1. Close the bracket, we've got the function. So you would then go to settings again to make sure it's okay. I know it's okay because it's very similar to the last question. Execute, table, and then we've got our 4 terms. So 0, 4, 10, 18. 0, 4, 10, 18. Next question. So this is a bit more complicated. It's un equals 5 times 3 to the power n minus 1. We've still been asked to generate the first 4 terms. We're still going to use table mode. This is a geometric sequence for those of you who have been taught it. I don't think some of you have, but you will be very soon. And you don't really need to know it for this particular tutorial anyway. So again, you would do it properly. You'd go menu 7 for table. Into the table, you'd see there's a function there that you don't need. So you delete it and you press yes. I do want to delete that. And then you type it in as is. So 5 times 3 to the power. Now powers are up here to the power. And you'll see actually on these modern calculators, you're going to just be able to type in the x minus 1. And it's just going to stay in there. So it's really, really user-friendly, actually. So execute. Settings, yes, of course I know it's right, but won't always be. Go to the table, and there are the terms 5, 15, 45, 135. 5, 15, 45, 135. So that is the first 4 terms of that sequence. Final one, another quite nasty geometric sequence, and you're going to do it in exactly the same way. And the way it lets you write maths on these calculators really does help for this sort of thing. So 48 times minus a quarter raised to the power, then on older calculators, just actually putting that in a form that works is not much fun really. So menu table, menu 7 for table. So I'm going to delete the whole formula, and I'm going to write 48 times. I'm going to open a bracket, and then I'm going to probably put minus as in negative, and then I'm going to use this fraction button here. So fraction button 1 over 4. The great thing about these, you can write it in exactly as it looks. You're not in doubt as to whether or not you typed it incorrectly, because it looks exactly the same, so it can't possibly be wrong. To the power x. So it looks just like that. Check your setup. Start at 1, end at 4, go up in ones. Check your table, and there you go. So minus 12, 3, minus 0.75, and 0.1875. So this is outputted as decimals. I put in a fraction in 2 forms there. I think you probably could mess around with the settings so it gave fractions. You don't really need to. In an exam, if you gave either of these answers, it would be absolutely fine.